Welcome back to Overlord Anime Review. This is special number 1. Yeah, for these particular specials, I'm just reviewing the last 4 light novels released, the Blu-ray specials, most of them anyways, and the drama CDs. And that's it. Those of you who are hearing what's going on in the background, that's a train going by my house. Yes, there's a train like not that far from my house, like less than about 2 minutes away. There's train tracks. It is coming from that direction of my house. That's basically where it is. Yeah, it's like way off to my left here. That's basically the direction that the train is coming from. Yeah, but it's going by either like this way or that way. Alright, now I'm talking about this particular review, the 10th light novel released for the series, Conspiracy of a Ruler. There are at least 3 chapters in this book, and a prelude and an epilogue. Yeah, in the case of this particular book, now this book took me a little while longer than I expected to get through. But yeah, I got through it. Simply put, this story explains like what happened, like right after the events of book 9, in the case of the anime, after the season 3 wrapped up, where it begins the very next day after Ainz took over Iran town, where like the place he moved into is the former residence of the mayor of the town. He's basically made that place his palace. Oh, and this I thought was quite interesting. They moved his bed from the tomb of Nazari to this place. I should point out though, in this whole book, the tomb itself does not make a physical appearance at all. It's referenced a few times, but it seems like at this point, because they have a kingdom now and they have an official city that's officially their capital, my guess is the tomb itself is pretty redundant. Yeah. Now I know now explaining the show and of course the light novels, the reason why they sort of now that's still technically their home, but Ainz himself doesn't live there anymore. Not really, he doesn't have his bedroom there anymore. I mean, heck, he brought his freaking throne from the place and put it in this room, which they had remodeled the place. They explained they had remodeled the throne room of where Ainz lives. And here's the thing: the reason why he took up residence in the mayor's home is because the mayor and the rest of all the government for this town abandoned the town as soon as Ainz moved to town. And Albedo had to do a lot of paperwork. She even like it, like, okay, Albedo, you have people in this town you could hire to help run the place. Instead, you run it by yourself. Yep. And this is a cute moment in the prelude in the first chapter where Ainz has the 2 elves in his office. Of course, Albedo's there too. He picks up Amory, I think her name is, the female dark elf, picks her up by the armpits and plats her down on his lap. Albedo gets upset, and she gets put on his lap pretty much the same way. They're kind of facing with each other. The dark elf is on his left thigh, and she's on his right thigh. And he's like doing this. Yeah, that's basically what I saw from the picture. Like, yeah. And after a few minutes, the dark elf got up, and Albedo's like, "Hey, I want to sit on your lap a little bit longer," because she says he only sit on his lap for like roughly 30 seconds. And he didn't have a really big problem with her sitting on his lap, but yeah. So this is by far the second series I've read where you have women fighting over who gets to sit on the main character's lap. The last series I read that did this was High School DxD, where like half the characters fight over who gets to sit on his lap. This one has roughly 2 people. Though Shotoye herself does not sit on his lap at all. As a matter of fact, she does make a physical appearance. I think she is brought up a couple times in this book, but she does not make a physical appearance, surprisingly. Yeah, Shotoye, who does play a role in a lot of the light novels, this one she doesn't physically show up at all. And plus, they have Ainz, like, of course, they have Albedo go on her journey to the capital of the Riaz Kingdom to go visit them. Yeah, part of the chapter has sort of a backdoor into the next chapter with her leaving. And you have Ainz just going into the Rand town, going to the Adventure Guild, which he goes regularly as Momon. And he tells the guild leader that he's absorbing the guild into the actual government itself and becoming a government entity. the guildmaster, he's not exactly resistant to it, but he is intimidated by him. He does show a good amount of respect to him, and they eventually do. It's not much is developed on this particular point, but yeah. And that's simply all the first chapter is, just basically what's been going on. Chapter 2 cuts to the Rand Kingdom capital itself. What I mentioned, like, they're still recovering from the losses from the previous book, and of course, in the previous season. And of course, the princess is being her normal self, where she's like the innocent, while also having a split personality. And she's informed of an emissary who comes to the capital, and she goes with her brother. I would say it's her second brother, because the first one actually got killed off in the previous book. And my guess is the middle brother, the one who's the second prince, one who's kind of slightly overweight. I think he's officially become the heir to the throne, because they don't really develop exactly what exactly happened to the heir to the throne. Now, from what I can tell from the anime, it looks like that Luna killed him along with all of his soldiers. Here, they don't really develop it. It's like it's referenced once and then it's never brought up again. And of course, Albedo was introduced to everybody, though she doesn't meet the princess a little later. I'll get to that in a minute. And Climb is in this chapter, which I do appreciate him actually in the book. And then they go, and then she's introduced as like the Guardian of Overseers. Yeah, and so they equivalent her position to that of a prime minister, which she's kind of recognized as that, but not really. She interacts with a woman named Hemi, who's kind of like her servant in a way for while she's there. And eventually, toward the end of the chapter, Princess Ravenna, I think it's Princess Rainier, is told that Albedo wants to meet her. This was actually set up in the previous book, that she really wanted to meet Rainier, because she was curious about her. So Climb goes with her, like always, because he constantly travels with her. And then she asks him to leave because they want to do some girl talk. And of course, Climb leaves. Of course, Brain himself does appear in this chapter. He doesn't do very much, but at least he shows up here. And as soon as he leaves, she drops the innocent girl act and goes to the monster stuff, that her true self. Albedo's a little surprised by this. It's also in this chapter that she has betrayed her kingdom. She's also betrayed her family, and she's a spy for Tumanazrik. Yeah, when I read this, I'm like, when the heck did this happen? As far as I can tell, this is the first time they've ever met. And yeah, it's particularly very weird. And then the chapter ends with them going to talk about Ainz and Climb. And we don't know what they talked about when it comes to these two. Because as soon as when chapter 3 starts up, we're in the Biaz kingdom. We're in the Biaz empire. We got the Emperor Jakov, and he's in a good chunk of this chapter. Ainz himself doesn't show up until, like, I would say about half. It's like the third chapter. It's like 3 stories. Because you have stuff going with Emperor Jakov, what he's been up to since the end of the previous book. You have Ainz, you have Albedo coming back, and she also wanted a kiss from Ainz on the lips. And he's sort of in a way, because he has a mouth anyways, just pecks his teeth on her cheek. She starts crying, and of course they talk about what happened in book 3. He thinks in his head, and gives her a hug and tells her, please don't cry, please don't cry. He says it like several times. And of course we cut to a gladiatorial arena. Of course Ainz participates in that. And there are frequent times he always refers to himself by his birth name, Siezu. I think it's he pronounced the guy's name. Yeah, it's particularly a little weird, the fact that they actually have him do this. Yeah, I don't really know why in the world they have him, or they have in the actual book itself, where he's constantly referred to himself by his birth name, not by his original name in the series, not even by Ainz. He always talks about like his co-workers, like his time as a salaryman. He thinks back to that while he's fighting a bunch of monsters. And everyone else is like, why are you fighting for? It's like, I thought he was going to go for him. And of course he does win. And the whole battle takes up pretty much like a good chunk of chapter 3, the gladiatorial stuff. And, or at least the tournament type of thing that they participate in. This takes up like a good, I'd say about 40% of this chapter. The stuff with Emperor Jakov, that takes up a good 10% of this chapter. Same thing with Albedo and Ainz. Yeah. Plus, the book itself does sort of detail what his plans are for his country, like making utopia, so him being the ruler. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's a fantastic book. It's got great illustrations in the book. Now, if anyone sees the template for this thing, it is the cover for the actual book itself. I don't physically own the book because I read it online. You're thinking that's cheating, but I'm just free way. It is by far a really good book, and if I would say like now, I'm also gonna mention is like in these reviews, starting with this one up until I talk about until I finish the book 13, like how many episodes could this book take up? I would say because of stuff that happens in book 3, the chapter 3 of this book, I could probably say at least 4, maybe 5 episodes to adapt this entire book. I highly doubt it's going to be a 3-chapter thing because in the case of the prelude in chapter 1, you can easily squeeze it into the first episode. The second episode can easily be chapter 2, and the third episode. Now, the third chapter, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this particular chapter, I could say you can stretch this out for at least, I'd say not 3 episodes. I'd say you can stretch this out for this chapter to have this released for 3 of either. You could either end it up to 4, episode 4, or 5 of season 4, which I'm sure there's probably gonna be one. Mm-hmm. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the guy's real name. I know his name is Seansu, I think his name is. Yeah, I'm trying to get it up, but the thing is not exactly working properly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, also, actor in this. Yeah, for a good small portion of chapter 1, where it's revealed that he's been posing as Moamon since the end of the previous book. Yeah. This is all when you first to Ainz as his father. Mm-hmm. Now I'm trying to look it up, what his real name is, like, aside from Ainz. I know it was like Suazu something. It's great though, Pandora's actors in this book. It's said they're only in there for a good, like, small portion of chapter 2. It's very weird. He's only in there just for a small bit, where he's at a guest house with Ein, and in private exactly what his plans are, and he put the maid because well, that's the job with the maid because that's the of the two Nazari. Yeah. Okay, his real name is Suwaski Satoru. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name. I know it's Japanese, but that's the best I can do. Yeah, he always refers to himself as his birth name. Now, I've heard this as his birth name because, well, that's technically what it is. And he constantly thinks back to this particular name and what he is outside this place frequently in Chapter 3, but it's fine. I have no problem with it because you get a little more development on this character. Yeah. And I also like the fact that overall in this book we get a small bit of development in a relationship between Albedo and Ainz. That's a great thing. And the start of a friendship between her and Princess Vernier. That is also fantastic as well. Though here's something really weird about Princess Vernier and Climb. They don't appear in the next 3 books at all, if I look them online. Yeah, it's particularly very weird that they don't appear at all. And yet other characters do, but not these two. Now I'm thinking though, Princess Vernier, probably her deal is that she wants to keep Climb safe, And she probably also wants to keep a good friendship with Albedo. Probably because they love really good guys. Though in the case of Albedo, she's in love with a freaking skeleton. In the case of Rainier, she's in love with her handsome bodyguard. Yeah, who's always wearing armor. Though generally he does wear a little bit something else. He does wear like occasionally their outfit, like occasionally his own civilian outfit. Yeah. Nothing much else to say about this book, but it is just really, really good. I do recommend it if people are fans of the Overlord series itself. If you are curious about this particular novel series, I mean, that's the neat thing about Overlord. Unlike High School DxD, which has overall at least 27 volumes released, this series has only got 13. And from what I looked up online, this book I think is supposed to be released this month here, and book 11 is going to be released in May. Would I get the Overlord light novel series? I haven't decided yet. I am thinking of possibly getting the anime because I love the anime. It's fantastic. The second season just recently came on DVD here at some local Walmarts, and it's, believe it or not, $42 plus tax. $42 and change. Yeah, I'm not surprised about this, due to the fact that a lot of the time, even regular live action TV shows generally do cost a lot. They usually cost about $50, so I'm not all that surprised. Now, I did recently purchase volumes 3 through 5 of Dragon Ball Super. And those cost me about $30 a piece, so that wasn't too bad. So those were a little more cheaper than getting Overlord. I'm so happy Overlord. I may get the first season of Overlord maybe when I go to Comic-Con this week. Not this weekend, it's next week I go to Comic-Con. I may get a chance to get that. Maybe more of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I recently got that too. And maybe, and of course, a few other things as well. But, excuse me. So as of right now, the only anime I'm currently buying DVD, at least on DVD or Blu-ray, is Bleach, Dragon Ball Super, JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and I am definitely thinking between Overlord and My Hero Academia because I love these series and I do want to support them. Yep. So that's it for this particular review. Stay tuned for my review of my next Comic Corner. It's the only video I plan on doing today aside from this one. But until we see the next review, bye.